Hey everyone, I'm Kunal Bajwa.
And I'm Lance Jordan.
We are two nerds who decided to start a podcast in 2020 due to the pandemic. No topic is necessarily off the table, and we'd like you to join us in hearing our thoughts on various topics, ranging from anime to Zeppelins. We have it all. Here we go. Today's going to be a bit of a special episode. I got two really good friends of mine joining me. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but then life had other fucking plans.
Right.
And
Right.
but no, I'm super happy to be here with my two friends, Sid and Faybra. They got a couple, and we even got like another guest who is just chowing down some veggie sticks right in the back. His name is Shaadi. When I first heard his name, I thought Shaadi.com.
Just like Shaadi.com.
That's right.
Just like it.
And he will hook you up. You give him like 20 years. He'll
for
be
the
there.
culture. He'll be doing it for the culture.
That's right.
That's right.
Which while I'll be 50 by the time that's happening. Yeah, he's happy about it. Dude is excited.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's excited. So today's just gonna be like kind of off the cuff. We didn't prepare for this because fuck any preparations going on right now. Let's just be chill. So what is up with you all today?
Man, just surviving, man. Escapism.
Escapism.
Pretty much from the news that we're bombarded with.
Yes, it's like the 80s have come back in zombie form.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, "Yep, this time's gonna be worse."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's so weird. Whenever I hear people say like, history repeats itself, I want to punch them in the fucking face because that's the most dumb phrase you could ever say. If history repeated itself, we would be stuck in a temporal loop like in Star Trek. But
exactly.
that's not happening, right? Because we know better.
Right.
What's happening is history is rhyming, which is even scarier.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's even scarier. I had a great teacher from college tell me that, like, Mark Twain actually came. I heard it from Mark Twain, and I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't know he wrote like that." That's cool. I only know him from Huckleberry Finn, and
Yeah.
and he had certain characters that made me go, "Huh, I don't know about this guy."
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, how about I introduce you guys? Like, Sid, tell us a little about yourself, man.
Hey, Sid, friend of Kunal's, obviously. Big time gamer.
That's right. He has his own channel, and we'll put those in the show notes. Tell us about it, man.
The Buff Nerd Gamer. The Buff Nerd Gamer is my YouTube channel. Just very, very fresh channel, very new. So, trying to make time to make videos for that and things like that. But
So
kind of
fresh,
hard.
so clean. I love it.
Yeah, hard to do it with with the baby. But
That's right. He's a year and a couple months now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About to be 14 months.
Just absolutely wild.
So trying to find time to do that, raise my kid, also game. So yeah.
And when he's not doing that, he's typically on social media just shitting on Sony as much as he can. Much as he can. And I live for it, and I fucking own a PS4. It's one of the things, like, so every once in a while I'll call Sid up and be like, "I'm disappointed in you," and like there's a moment of shock in your voice, like, what happened? What's going on? He's like, "It's been 24 hours and there hasn't been any hate to Sony yet." And then sometimes I regret saying that because it's just nothing but that for the next week.
Yes, I need that like my morning cup of coffee. Matter of fact, even more than my morning cup of coffee. It's like, wait, it's the morning? Oh, let me shit on PlayStation real quick.
Like, it's the one thing Japan gave us that we were like, nah, like maybe you need to go back and fix this.
Yes.
If anything. All right.
Yes.
Cool. And then Faybra, talk about yourself, man. How you been?
Well, I'm Faybra, and I am partners with Sid.
That's right.
And I have my own podcast, KwerkTartz, with my friend.
Check it out.
We talk about our shit. We do our thing.
You guys have definitely known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
So good chemistry.
I went to the same university as Kunal, but we didn't know each other back then. We ended up meeting each other.
Which is so wild.
Right.
I mean, it's St. Louis, but still.
Exactly. Like my co-host, we went to college together and were friends back then. And we decided over a year ago now, since the pandemic hit in 2020, to just keep talking to each other. And we had so many conversations, and we're like, man, we should record this because we talk about, we get in there, like we talk about stuff. So we started recording and have been doing KwerkTartz for It's been almost 2 years now, which is freaking weird because the pandemic has been that long.
Yeah.
Wow,
and it's been long enough for us to like make a kid, give birth to him, and he's a real person now. So that's a lot. Like this pandemic has actually changed my life significantly. Which it's a lot to think about.
It is. It's kind of weird too because I remember the moment I was introducing you guys, I was just thinking it's so like interesting you bring that up. Because I remember the moment you guys found out you were pregnant, I was just renting out one place, and then I moved into a different place, and all of that happened within the span of 2 years. And I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot compared to having a kid, but I realized like that was 2 years.
Right.
Like even Shaadi's pissed off about that. like even like it's absolutely, we should be done with this. We should be done with all of this now, and we are not.
It's just like a continuing spiral. It's just like, what else is gonna oh, hey, this year we're gonna stack on some more. You know,
it's like skills in a video game.
Yeah.
Continuum of perpetual fuckery.
Yes. If now it's gonna be like now the Ukrainians are, now we got an invasion of Ukraine, and it's only 2 days now, which is even crazier that that's going on. But It's really interesting because as this was going on, I thought about sharing a story because like it's really weird. Of the people that have the most connection to Slavic people, and I consider Russians to be part of that too, but Ukrainians are definitely of Slavic descent. After India gets its independence in 1947, United States and other people, global powers in the world, were actually more excited to trade and do business with Pakistan than they were with us, India. And because of that, we didn't have we're fucked. We need to trade with somebody. We just got independence from the Brits. We need to get our economy back on track. Right. So one of our biggest trading partners was Russia. And this is USSR Russia.
Right.
So that's the crazy part because like this is all stuff I've heard from my mom. And whenever I've met people who are from the USSR or Slavic in general, like they always have this, like the moment they find out that I'm Indian, there's most of the time they are very like immediately ask me like what Bollywood serials am I watching? They ask me like I know it's absolutely it's insane. Like I was getting an Uber drive a couple years ago in LA, and the guy was Armenian, and I'm talking to him, and I love on Spotify you can get Armenian music. It's very soothing, very calming, very quiet. It's called a duduk. You've definitely heard it if you've watched like The Last Airbender, because that's the instrument that Uncle Iroh uses on the boat. And immediately after I talked to him about that, he goes like, so my mother watches Bollywood, and he was asking me all these questions about Bollywood, and I'm like, fuck, I need to watch more Bollywood. But I was just astounded that my mom is like, it's just one of those times where you see history in motion. So whenever I see this going on in the news, it always makes me feel like, those are people that, who I don't know, but who I know have some appreciation for my culture. And I definitely want to learn, as I've watched The Witcher, which is more based in Slavic myth than anything. It makes me like, oh shit, like there's so much here that is just being ignored and forgotten. And just, it's just, it's undeserved completely. Yeah. And that's really sad. So, but we can't do anything about that at this moment. Go support who you can. And we can only do what we can.
Exactly.
And what we tend to do is to make podcasts and talk about that.
Yep.
Right?
Just to get those feelings out,
Yeah.
Yep.
You said you were watching Star Trek recently?
Yeah, I was watching Star Trek and just contrasting with what everything's going on right now. It's like, this is what we could have.
This is what we could have.
Replicators, peace, all that jazz. Going to space and exploring it. But it's like the more and more I see the things in the news, I'm like, we're not ready. We're not gonna be ready anytime soon.
It's gonna be a while. I'm one of those weird people that I watch Star Trek too much, and so I'm really optimistic. Even with all these things going on, I know it's gonna take a lot of things really for it to take full effect in 100 years. Yeah. So we haven't had like a lot of the laws we have relatives that still remember crazy stuff that happened. We still remember like, and I don't need to tell you guys that. That's just
right.
Yeah, because the crazy stuff is ongoing. I mean, our generation has witnessed a host of crazy things at this point. Like,
oh my God!
Starting with 9/11, and then it just hasn't stopped since then.
Hasn't stopped.
So
And it just gets crazier and crazier. And then like it's always funny to me when like boomers are like, oh yeah, you kids are always in therapy. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to end up like with you with a with a bottle of Jack Daniels and I don't know, dying of cocaine addiction. I don't know. Like, yeah, like, if that's what boomers do, I don't know. I guess that'd be too much for them. But weird ass story. But before we do that, Faybra, can you tell us more about your background, what you're doing?
So one of the things that makes me weird is that I work like really proxy to, I would say, like a lot of power players. So I do systems change, like consulting and work, and then occasionally I do training, design, and professional development, things like that. So I get to be in similar spaces to a lot of elected officials, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people who make powerful decisions. And so I often kind of like feel myself being in a position of just being like very just annoyed and frustrated with how stupid people are. Like a lot of our leaders are unqualified and unsuitable to be doing what they're doing.
The worst problem was when like Facebook was going on, being investigated. It's like, why are these dinosaurs?
Like these are the people who are making the decisions. But then at the same time, like there's an amount of them who are really good, well-intended people who I think they want to help, right? But like good intentions is not getting it done because, like you said, history is rhyming, right?
Right.
And that shit got bars. Like it's rhyming for real. Like that shit got that hot bars.
I think we just found our title for today.
Like it's really rhyming, and it's scary because the older we get, the more we're recognizing these patterns, and it's like, oh, we've seen this before. So another war it's frustrating to me and it's scary to me, and like having friends and family who are active in the military who could be deployed, like it scares me because I don't want this to happen again. And like
it's just an unnecessary invasion.
I have a family member who like had PTSD so much that like he wanted to end his own life, and he did.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And like his funeral was the same day my son was born, and like I can't like put that out of my mind. You know what I mean? So like I'm just really hoping that...
Don't forget the insurrection also.
And the insurrection. Yeah. So the insurrection and my cousin's funeral, a veteran, his funeral was the same day. And, like, it's a lot to think about sometimes. But in the work that I do, having to stay present for these people and to, like, coach them in some ways and like inspire them and like we can do this, we can strategize, we can do this, that, or whatever. Like it's great work, it's meaningful work. I feel like I'm doing good things, but I just wonder if I'm really making a difference considering the history is rhyming so much the way that it is right now.
I definitely see it. Shaadi's given us good support in the background. I love it because this kid is usually pretty quiet when I'm around.
Right, but now he's like, are we talking?
We're talking. We're talking. Uncle Kunal's here.
In addition to my work, like the stuff that I do, I podcaster with my friend, and we're nerds, and we love like K-dramas, and that's kind of like our thing together is like Korean media and also different media systems from Asia. And my sister and I are really into Nollywood, so Nigerian films and South African films.
So I want to come back to this because this is one of the things I wanted to talk about, specifically K-pop. Now that you brought up Nollywood, I want to talk about that too. Okay. Before we go there, we talked about the sedition or the insurrection. Mm-hmm. And it was really odd for me to also see my dad and mom just kind of sitting, because like I was dating someone at the time and she said, check the news. And I was working with my dad on something. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll check the news. And then I see everything happening and I'm like, wow. The thing that hit me the most was not so much that this was happening, but when my parents' reaction, specifically my father, who like gave up not everything, but like, took a huge risk, didn't even plan on doing the whole immigrant dream, coming over in the 80s to New York and then eventually here. Uh-huh. And then you just have him like getting up every once in a while to like get his chai because he's a sweet old Indian man. And he's like, I can't believe this is happening in America, of all places to happen, because like the level of corruption that happens and the level of violence that that happens in like even in India. Like I don't want to paint it in a bad way, but like it always makes me second guess whenever I hear about people like when there's a shooting and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, it's tragic. Yes, it's horrible. Things like this happen in India, unfortunately, quite often.
Yeah.
And the level of, because there's so many people, it's just, there's a lot more fatality, a lot more violence that happens. Now, definitely that is also the grandchild of colonialism and everything like that. Yeah. So that is another factor, another story from their time. But I never forgot my dad just being so shocked by that because, I mean, he's sponsored people over here. He's gotten most of our family here. And then just to see him do really well for himself and then come out and be like, I am disappointed in this country. That just hit differently for me. Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And then now he's enjoying, like, every once in a while he'll like text me. He's like, look, they got this fucker in jail. And like someone else is going to jail. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to see it. But yeah, it was just really wild to be an immigrant's kid and see your parent. Because my dad doesn't really, his way of viewing the news is very like comical. He's just basically like, yeah, they got that motherfucker, or this bastard's going to jail. Like, there's no like, oh yeah, it's a complex human who's going through emotions and everything. It's like, no, fuck that. Right. Like, which motherfucker is going to jail now? That's just basically what he's doing. If he hears this, he's gonna be like, you make me out to be a rogue. What is this?
Right. They got that shaman motherfucker there.
Oh, that made me weak and I'm sitting down. God, that got me.
Man, casting spells and shit.
Oh, man. I remember my dad saying this once. He's like, yeah, if any of these religious fundamentalists get you, just tell them my people's religion is older than yours. Well, fuck you.
Nice. Exactly.
Mic drop.
Right, take that.
Mic drop. Right.
Oh, my dad is, oh my gosh, like there's a whole doc. I don't think I've shown it to you guys, which is all the crazy stuff I've told you about my dad and family. I have a document on my phone of just quotes that he said.
Nice.
Like I'll show it to you when afterwards, but whenever I'm having a bad day, I read those and I just immediately I have to like put the phone down because I'm laughing so hard.
You should start a blog like shit my dad says.
Oh yeah.
There may or may not be an email cast that I send to the families.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, a lot of it is maybe 10% of it I'd be okay with reading on the podcast. Like 90% of it I'm like, no, this will cancel me forever. But yeah, so getting back to something that's a little more positive. You bring up K-pop, Nollywood, all that stuff. I wanted to start it with one question. Actually, two. One, what got you interested? What got you into K-pop?
What got me into K-entertainment, I think, was like just a combination of like my familial background. So like I'm black, I identify as black, but I also, acknowledge on my dad's side that we have South Asian ancestry, so Indian ancestry. So
it's sprinkled in there.
Like when I was a kid and when I was in college, I took like a whole deep dive into Bollywood, and I would just like, I would sit there at the Marquetti desk when I was an RA and just binge like all the Bollywood films that were on YouTube for free at the time. You were probably
like there for hours. So
yes, I was there for hours. Those movies long as fuck. So I would sit there and watch that because I also was into music and musical theater. And those random music numbers that are in every Bollywood. Yeah,
contrary to belief, we don't break out into song and dance every 10 minutes. It's like every 8 minutes.
Right, exactly. So I was already just like
you thought it was gonna be something smart, didn't you?
Various forms of like Asian media already. Also, my family is like multicultural, so on my mom's side there's several interracial couples, and I have some aunties that are Thai
that married in.
Yes, that married in to my black family.
That's wild.
And
that's so cool. Honestly, that is super hipster, but that's the fucking future.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like our family had Thai restaurants and stuff, and still do. And my mom would like help out with one of them. So after school, we'd go to school, go to Auntie's Thai restaurant. We sit there for hours, just whatever. So that was just like my background has always had like mad love for like Black Asian coalition. Like that was just my thing. Like Rush Hour is my favorite movie. All three of them. Don't judge me.
Okay.
Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
I'm not judging you.
I'm gonna round the story out in a second.
I'm just happy.
saying.
I'm happy. because whenever I say Rush Hour is my favorite movie, people just like look at me and laugh.
Rush Hour is so underrated.
Why have we not talked about this?
Okay, look.
It's a classic.
It is an absolute classic. People have been posting about that shit all month because of Gonggi Kwa Choi for Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
And it's like the original,
Yes.
like Black History Month.
And Chinese
Black
New
and
Year.
yellow.
Yes.
Blello,
Black and
man.
yellow, yes.
Blello, take it out.
Exactly, period. That's my like familial background, and then I guess that kind of just like put me in a, I guess, position and lifestyle to like meet a lot of like cool Asian friends. So like a lot of my friends are Asian American, and
I'm on the south side.
One of my south side Asian, one of my east side Asian girlfriends, she put me on to K-pop when I was like in college, and we used to watch the videos for like the choreography because we used to like do this little dance crew stuff. I don't do that anymore, but
okay.
like eventually I kind of like circle back around to it because I was still interested in the music.
I mean, you're hitting the gym now, so you could probably do it again. Seriously, man.
I don't know. We'll see about that.
All right, well, you know, like baby stepping in.
Listen to the music, and then my brother-in-law like knew that I was kind of like interested in like anime and stuff, and he was like, "Oh yeah, since you like anime and like mangas and stuff, like you were probably like the live version of Boys Over Flowers." And I was like, "Oh, there's a live version of Boys Over Flowers?" He was like, "Yeah, I think it's Korean." Okay. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I feel like Boys Over Flowers was like my gateway drug to K-dramas. That's how it started. And then one of my girlfriends who's Korean, she was like, oh, okay, well, I know you like foodie stuff. Check out this K-drama called Let's Eat.
I've heard of that one.
I was like, okay. Yeah. And so I checked that out. So between those two were my first like K-dramas that I watched over a period of like, I would say maybe like a year or two in between them. Okay. And they were like, yeah, my gateway drug to K-dramas. So I don't even know how many I've seen since then. Maybe dozens, because I watch 2, 3, 4 at a time, and I usually finish them in a week if the episodes are already uploaded. So
yeah, that's the thing too. Like Netflix did a really good job of getting the international market.
Yeah,
like they just clutched it and were like, now we're getting like. I was surprised to see it up and running with Bollywood movies, and then I would always wonder where you guys would watch K-dramas, and then one day I stuck around. I'm like, oh, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, Hulu has a small amount of them, but I definitely would say Netflix, and I have qualms with Netflix about how they've been doing the K-dramas for their Netflix originals, which we talked about on KwerkTarts.
Okay,
I'll talk about that again.
Go check
later.
that episode out.
Also, Vicky Rakuten, Vicky has them like you can watch them basically at the same time as like while it's on Korean TV. So, you know, like my friend who lives in Seoul right now, we could watch the same TV show right now on Vicky. Like, oh my God, Kiki, did you see that?
It's always great to me. It's like that's kind of how like anime is done now too. Where they was like, oh, anime was great back in the day. I'm like, no, I mean like there were classics, but like, dude, like there were not even dubs sometimes, and like or subs sometimes, and then you'd be like, you would not be able. You would have it show up on the TV, and you'd never see it again.
Exactly. It's just gone.
In our day, we had to hunt for that on Adult Swim and stay up past our bedtime. like I just like the fucking old man in me is coming out strong lately.
Right.
And ever seen remember the TV Guide channel?
Oh my God!
Don't miss your show if it rolls through.
You can't sleep. Welcome to the Total Gyms. Like, like fucking Chuck Norris showing up and being like, hey there, how's it going? This is how I stay in shape past 60. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, like that's very, it's really cool that now we can do that. Just literally watch it with your, compatriots or friends, wherever you are. Technology is amazing. We need to use it more, smarter.
Yeah.
So circling back to that. But yeah, okay, cool. So speaking of K-drama, you've got to finish Vincenzo.
I know, but so another thing that makes me weird too is that I have a very specific type. Okay, like I have a type of K-drama. I'm not gonna say that Vincenzo's not that type. It's just I haven't prioritized it on my list of to watches.
So I can talk to someone about it.
The great thing about all the technology is that there's an algorithm that tells you what you would possibly like.
Right.
And so I watch the things that I would possibly like. So right now what I've been watching is Beauty Inside, and it is ridiculous and it is not a good K-drama, but I'm watching it because it's my type. Like, it's a rom-com.
You put it on, you enjoy it, you move on with your life.
A quirky female protagonist that like gets entangled and intertwined with this chaebol who's a he's a rich heir guy who's like he's all stoic and stuff and like doesn't show emotion, but he's like
so
tall and like,
but it's just like I'm like, dude,
unrealistically attractive with a deep voice and like it's just they've got like mad like sexual tension, but they never kiss each other. And it's just like
that's kind of how Vincenzo rolled for a while. Although he showed emotion in his own way. Like he's been in Descendants of the Sun and other shows as well. And I think that's totally valid because like
it's not. It's trash, no, but it's my thing though.
You should enjoy some amount of trash. Not everything you have to consume has to be just like increasing your mind. Like some people like just like watching crazy stuff.
I do divert from my type sometimes. Like I really enjoy Squid Game.
I still can't bring myself to watch that because I heard the level of gore.
It's rough. It's rough, but it's good.
I heard nothing but good things because it talks about capitalism, it talks about problems in their culture.
Yep.
It's good, and I give it respect for that. But like I know myself, and I know that I'll be like I watched the first season of The Boys, and I had to like I felt sick for a month.
Oh, The Boys.
Oh,
yeah.
Ugh.
It's good. But
it's like
just,
it irked, like it got on my nerves so bad. Like some of the characters pissed me off so hard.
I mean, most of them did for me. So
it was gross. But yeah, I have like I'm really into the rom-com-y type K-dramas where it's like a quirky female protagonist like gets intertwined or entangled with a rich guy, or there's like several love triangles, and also
I need to watch one of these, man. That sounds awesome.
Childhood backstories, like they're somehow connected from their childhood, which is a weird trope in a lot of these K-dramas.
Kind of, Taiwan Club did that.
Itaewon Class, yeah.
They kind of did that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I saw the last couple episodes with you guys, but I mean, I say that because I have no reason to watch the first couple, but I finished it with you guys when I came over. I think right before everything shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing like she remembers the main character from like their time in high school. And there's an age gap, and now it's not an age gap, and like he's just painfully stoic and doesn't know how to read. Any kind of like
he has one face the entire show.
So he shows up in Vincenzo.
What?
Yeah, as like a background character.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and then he like kind of he at least I'm pretty sure it's him.
Okay.
Like, he like, and I'm not doing this to be racist, but he resembled him quite a bit, and I thought that was him.
Okay.
Even down.
It's probably not, but
okay.
It might be.
If I'm wrong, you can totally shit on me for that.
Okay. I'm gonna check it out, and I'll let you know. And when I come back on here, I'll let you know if he was racist or not.
That's okay. I will. Cool. Hey, I'm all about a teachable moment.
Awesome.
And I will accept it with grace.
That sounds good.
And you can smack me in the face. Hey, it rhymes. I like that. But yeah, okay, cool. So have you ventured in? I mean, obviously you've seen it with Faybra, but like, have you seen any other K-dramas on your own or anything that sticks out to you?
The one we watched together was the Nine-Tail Fox one, which I really liked.
Yeah, Tail of Nine-Tail was good.
The lore and stuff of like Korean culture.
Yeah, it was a
really
supernatural thriller.
That's another thing because like a lot of, for better or for worse, because of Japan's invasion in the Second War, a lot of Korean culture is Japanese, and vice versa. Like even down like the game I'm playing, Lost Judgment. There's another one I saw a Korean drama called Lawless Lawyer, which it was okay.
I like the actors in that one.
The actors are good.
The lead actress,
that dude is shredded, like stupidly shredded, and he's like a great he had some great fight scenes in that show. Female interest was very cute. She acted pretty well too. There were some things where I was like, what is going on? But it's all good.
There's always those moments in K-drama.
Oh my god.
Somebody gets randomly fucking hit by a bus.
Yes.
It's like, why did you have to get hit by a bus?
Always random murder.
Always like there's a
murder
random
hit by a car.
And then they'll explain a connection, but then like keep you in the dark about it for like 5 episodes, and I'm like, well, how did you?
Or there's like a stalker that's looming in the background
with a baseball cap,
with a cap and a mask on.
You never see his face.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I need to watch one of these.
Those make for the best one.
It sounds awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of culture that's super similar, and so it seems like an easy fix for me to potentially get in.
Yeah, Nine-Tail Fox was great. They're getting a season 2, so it'll probably be coming out soon.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
And then so K-pop. it's been going on for a long time, but it's only really become big in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, big in the U.S.
Mainstream,
mainstream in the U.S. Yeah.
But like I've heard there was like they were doing it back in the 70s and 80s. Like they were doing it back in the day.
Yeah, but K-pop like really kind of took a turn like in the 90s and the late 90s.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild because the guy who plays the bad guy in Vincenzo is a K-pop star.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I think it's Oktakion. And
from 2 p.m.
I think so. And you would know better than I. And
yeah.
it's wild because he actually spent like some years in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So when he speaks English, it's like eerily good.
Not eerily good. It's just he's just got good English.
No, but here's the thing. Spoiler: he plays a psychopath in the show.
Okay.
So like when he's like talking in Korean, and then all of a sudden just like speaks English.
Flips on. Okay.
Flips on. Yeah. So they're like it's just really eerie because he's just able to switch, and you don't see it coming, and it just throws you off. But it's still worth watching. Yeah. So do you know what really made it blow up in the 90s?
Because the group started appropriating black people shit. They're like, okay, yeah, let's get our braids going. Let's get the choreography. Let's put our fucking Tommy Hilfiger shit on. Let's sag our jeans a little bit and let's add that New Jack Swing into the beats.
But you got to go back before it because before they could do any of that stuff, remember they I think they only sung like political songs praising the country.
It was more so like
patriot
type of songs,
stuff.
but then it kind of
changes.
Yeah, it took a twist where they could like, okay, we could sing some like, happy party type music, to get people excited, and like started having like variety shows where like young people could have like contests to like show their talent, and they were like, kind of following some American music and like UK type music where like hip hop was starting to kind of become a little bit more global, and R&B music was becoming more global, and the Korean kids was watching this shit and like feeling it, and they're like, okay, let's just do that a little bit. So when they started like adding that New Jack Swing sound and incorporating more musical genre sounds into like their pop music, it started to blow up. But there were plenty of elders that didn't like it. There's still like Korean culture is still very conservative in a lot of ways, and like young people have to really internalize that and navigate that a lot. But I think globally, like K-pop has really exploded, I think, because it incorporates so many different types of musical genres that are popular, and the formula, the algorithm is made to be catchy. There is a what is that show called?
That's
on
why
Netflix?
Butter is in my head.
Explained. There's an episode of Explained about K-pop that you should watch because it breaks down like how it makes K-pop like addictive,
how it gets
in our brains, because like the musical algorithm is catchy to us.
Light it
and then when
up
you add
like
that
dynamite.
plus the fashion,
that was so
like
nice.
the incorporation of like hip hop fashion, electronic music fashion, and kawaii stuff, cutesy, happy type stuff. Like it's made to be addictive, made to be bought and sold. So
that just reminded me of a documentary that's on Netflix right now called I think it's titled "What Is Pop" or "Pop Music," and they're breaking down like what's the connotations for it? What does it mean? How far does it go back? So like you could take any genre of music and consider like it's almost a derogatory term in the music world. So if you say something's pop, it's like, okay, you're just doing this for the money and all that stuff.
Yeah,
which it's not completely the case. Sometimes they're just really good songs that are overplayed.
Exactly, and
they know how to like. And there has to be a certain amount of respect for like making that successful and also getting people to sing that constantly.
Yeah.
But there also is like a point where it just like kind of gets in your head and you can't get it out. Like, call me maybe. And
oh my god!
I know, right? I even feel bad saying that now.
There we go.
And so this actually speaks to every volume that you've just said, Faybra, because they cover country music. They talk about how Dolly Parton comes in and changes everything.
Oh yeah.
And then they talk about like what we probably identify as pop music today, and everything else. And they start with Boyz II Men. And then they talk about how huge they were in the 80s when they first came out. And then how everyone copied them.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And NSYNC, 98 Degrees, just like took that thing and fucking rode with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing was like Boyz II Men spoke to both audiences, whereas like NSYNC just like, no, fuck that, we're just gonna like cater to white audiences
Exactly.
as hard as we motherfucking can.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, you know, still known around the world today. People still sing those songs in karaoke. I went a little too hard last weekend in karaoke, so my voice is a little raspy today. But and it's so wild how that just is the same everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You know,
history, not repeating, rhyming.
History rhyming. But you know what? Like, I've got to say this. Like, if there was anything, like, I've always noticed this too. When minority cultures, specifically from like the ones that I come from, like, you know, my Southeast Asian background from India, we always look to and are probably definitely appropriated, but we always saw that someone who, if they're on screen and they weren't white and they typically were black, it's like those people were immediately cool. Like Eddie Murphy's is like a mainstay in my house. Definitely growing, because like especially when we were in New York in the 80s, he was super popular and everything.
Eddie Murphy was the shit back then, boy. Yeah.
My dad still loves the Jeffersons. Like it's pretty nuts. It's so that's always been cool for me to enjoy and everything. Like wrote a huge paper on Malcolm X and et cetera, et cetera. Tell me about Nollywood, because this is a frontier that I know nothing about, and I would love to learn more. And it's unfortunately just like for Bollywood, all we hear about of India and Nigeria is just like the poverty and everything bad about it. We never hear anything else about it.
Yeah, Nollywood films are like movies and TV from Nigeria, and like Nigeria has like I would say that their TV and film industry is pretty big, and it's like getting bigger globally, and a lot of that media is actually on Netflix now. So I've seen, I don't even know how many like movies and a couple Nigerian television shows. I think there's like some similarities to K-dramas, like in a sense that there are there's tropes in those shows. Like you have childhood connections being a trope. You have like deep indebtedness, if that's a word, to like parents. Like the young people have to do what their parents say. And
I mean, that's
a
mainstay.
Go against what their parents say. There's like all sorts of stuff going on. Weddings are a big
you
like
just described
focal
all
point.
Bollywood movies.
Yeah, weddings and like Christmas and like holidays are a big focal point.
Wealthy
for
moguls.
Movies. Yes, the wealthy people
firms and
being corrupt and like, you know, government people being corrupt and you know, religious people like being a joke, basically, like corrupt pastors and like corrupt like spiritual leaders and stuff is a thing. Same thing in
Bollywood for sure.
In K-dramas. A lot you watch so many of them, and eventually you start to notice the actors. So there's popular actors and actresses who kind of get called on for a lot of the, you know, more interesting roles, and some of them are good actors and actresses and some of them aren't. Like some of them got those roles just because of how they look, and I'm not gonna name no names. But if you've ever seen Chief Daddy and Chief Daddy 2, I'ma just say one of those male leads got that role because of how he looks. Like he's good looking. That's why he's still acting in Nigeria right now.
Is it so bad? Is it so bad?
He's the same person.
He's the same person in every
Gotcha.
film. However, I'm gonna say this, and some people might get mad if you like K-dramas.
Please do.
We all love us some Park Seo-joon, and
don't you do it. Don't you do it.
K-drama king Park Seo-joon, he kind of acts the same in every drama. We love him. We love to see it, and he's got two facial expressions, and that, you know what I mean. Whether he's, you know, Itaewon Class Park Seo-joon or if she was pretty Park Seo-joon, like he kind of does the same thing.
Being
so you have
gets away with so much.
You know, Nigerian actors kind of on the same tip. Like they're, you know, good looking, workout, everything like that. They nice total pack, look good in a suit, or they look good in a cop outfit, whatever. You know, getting the same roles. It was the same thing with some of the women, like, you know, the ones with the good, you know, British accents or the good, you know, U.S. accents or whatever, getting the roles. And
man, fuck colonialism, because I was thinking the same thing about Indian actors too.
Yeah,
because like there's like the ones that speak really good English or do really well in Hollywood, like Priyanka Chopra.
Yep.
Like I've heard from my relatives and everything that she's actually not a bad actress. She's just kind of annoying.
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
Whenever you see her in interviews and stuff, like she's just really annoying, and she's just kind of like, I'm every time I hear her, I'm like, what are we gonna get to the point?
Yep.
Like today, Junior, come on.
But she was like on the bad B tip, like in her day. You know what I mean? Like she, you know, she married Nick Jonas, whatever.
Which I still don't get.
I feel like I know what it must be because. Because I mean, she could pretty much take her pick from like all the hot dudes in Bollywood. So like, why Nick Jonas? He must be swinging the baby arm. That must be the reason. It has to be the reason. You know, it's the only fucking reason that makes sense.
That gave me such a strong image in my head.
He's swinging the dang-a-lang. Like that's the thing. It has to be it. And he's younger, so some younger meat plus swinging the dang-a-lang. You know, her cooter was talking and was like, let's make it happen.
And Brown don't frown, so I got nothing.
Brown don't frown, and when the clock is ticking, you know, people make all sorts of decisions, and that's just real. You know.
Oh my God, my face hurts.
That's just real. You know, the cooter talks, and we have to listen.
You gotta scoot to the cooter, man. You gotta do it.
Exactly. But yeah, Niger films, they're lit ridiculous. I mean, they get ridiculous. There's one, I would say it's on the lower budget side, but if you have the patience, if you can find it, watch it. It's called Head Gone. It is an incoherent, terrible movie, but it is so funny. Yeah. Like, I don't know why it's so funny.
It's basically about a bus load of like mental patients.
Funny.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just
bad.
Terrible.
But if you like, you know, the rom-coms and stuff, I would say The Wedding Party, Wedding Party 2.
I've heard of that.
Those are good gateway drugs to Niger films. There's an interesting one that came out recently called Namaste Wahala, and it's like a Bollywood Nollywood mashup.
What?
So the guy love interest is Indian, woman's Nigerian. They fall in love, want to marry each other.
Okay.
And their families fucking hate it. And
that's a trope in each individual.
That's a trope
genres.
too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a trope too.
Marrying
like,
outside the community.
Families hating on the wedding or whatever. And they randomly incorporate a couple song and dance numbers, which is interesting too. I actually like that one. I feel like they could have it could have gone a little bit further, but I understand that like there wasn't a whole lot of precedence for a film like that, so they did like what they could,
as much as with the time that they had.
With the time that they had, and considering that it could be like actually kind of controversial in some ways, you know what I mean? Like because of how like Arabs and Indians are like in West Africa and all of those dynamics. Like that shit is real.
It's so real, and it always makes me like. And I know I'm oversimplifying, but like I've met people from Kenya, from Nigeria, and there's always been like because of the British, there's a ton of Indian people that are hanging around.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even if you don't mind me saying, like your last name, like when my dad saw it on Facebook, he's like, "Oh, you made some Sindhi friends." I'm like,
right.
No, I'm like, but like there definitely has been some cross pollination.
It's like there are Sindhis with the same last name, but it's also indigenous to Black South Africans.
To location.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like even the name Bajwa is found in that's not really a different culture. People are gonna get really mad at that, but Bajwa's a Pakistani last name, as well as like there's a Persian version of it too.
Right.
Okay.
There's like a couple different versions of the last name, so like you can't tell me that it's only like it's actually more Muslim than it is Hindu. But like definitely don't tell that to parts of my family. So. But yeah, it's always so weird to me because there's so much of an integration in those cultures, but yet there's so much of a. I mean, that's human beings in general.
Yeah.
But for me, I always am kind of just not distraught by that, but always just kind of like, the fuck? Like, really, we're getting mad about this? We've had this for centuries, and it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. My parents went to Kenya, and one of the Jeep drivers, and I don't know if he's saying this just to get in their good graces and maybe get a bigger tip, but the more he described it, it seemed the case. He's like, oh yeah, my grandmother is from India and stuff like that. Like it's very well cooked in the system. Like they cook Indian food all over the place in Kenya. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. At least according to my parents when they went a couple of years ago. And you can't tell me the culture is integrated like that to that extent, and you have issues with this. Like this doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, but yeah.
Right. No, I was just talking about, gateway drug, Niger films, if you're interested in those kind of things.
Toke
like
up, kids.
Another trope too is like there's some that have like an element of surrealism incorporated in it. And one of the ones that I saw that I felt like was the most hilarious was one called Sugar Rush.
These titles are awesome.
It is like it's a comedy, but there's also some like crime heist action type stuff in it. So it was trippy. It was trippy and it was hilarious. And it's like, dude, like what did I just watch? Like what did literally what did I just watch? But I feel like it's low key one of my favorites. So I really liked Sugar Rush. Okay. Chief Daddy and Chief Daddy 2 is an easy watch.
I need to watch these just
not,
for the titles.
It's not that great, but it's funny. Like there's a lot of funny stuff that happens, and you watch enough of them too, and you notice too that some of them kind of live in the same universe with each other. So like some of the characters are the same characters, just in a different movie. Yeah. And it's. Yeah,
they'll mention a company. That's
exactly.
Throughout the
it
worked for and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of.
I like that quite a bit actually.
That's kind of interesting.
It's super comic booky, but I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Nollywood Marvel universe.
There's also plenty of South African films and TV that like my sister and I like to binge together. There's a show.
Before we go into South Africa, do like any Nollywood actors that we probably know in Hollywood? Have they branched over or not so much?
I don't think so.
Okay, not off the top of your head.
Yeah. No, I don't think
That's
so.
Cool. I'm sure either it has happened, we haven't seen it, or we just haven't noticed.
But there are like several like Nollywood actors who were either like born in the U.S. or they lived in the U.S. for many years and then went back to Nigeria and started their acting careers are more popular over there than over here.
I was just thinking that when we'd made plans to do this, like for some reason I forgot what the topic I was thinking about in my head, but literally every person that I would consider like as a person of color to make their bones, quote unquote, has to go outside of the States to be really good.
That's
like Jimmy. I don't know much about it, but I know Jimi Hendrix did that, and I know other jazz musicians did that. That's why there's a huge jazz gathering in France, even to this day. Bruce Lee did that, and he told Rob Van Cleef, he's like, "Fuck doing movies in Hollywood. Go to Hong Kong. You'll kick ass there."
Right.
And he was like, "You're totally right," and he did. And like Bruce Lee came over there and did that. Jackie Chan's done that. He's like, "I want to branch out," and like Rush Hour is great. And I love it to death. I don't care what anybody says. I agree with you on that train, Faybra. And but like he is not able to do like half the stunts that Hollywood's letting him do.
Oh yeah.
And also they don't let him give like what they should do is just let him have free reign. I understand safety issues, but like they don't even let him do like some of the stuff. Like I've seen Iko Uwais and other guys from The Raid, and they come and do American movies, and I'm like, this is an action movie. There was no good combat in this.
Right.
It was such a wasted amount of talent. Don't even get me on how Star Wars was handled.
Oh my god, dude! Oh, Star Wars was such a.
It's a fucking letdown.
Oh, such a letdown. It's like
they got killed in 30 seconds.
Yeah. It was like, oh hey, this is a person you guys know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Why not make them fucking Force users?
Yeah.
Like why can't we fucking like destroy? Like see them do some fucking amazing acrobatic martial arts because like it's a word and they have stuff and like even Shaadi's pissed off about it. He's chewing on a watch right now, man.
Like, the cinematography in those Star Wars movies, though, it was just terrible all together. Anyway,
I still haven't seen the last one.
Yeah, me neither. I can't bring myself to do it.
There are people who are like, "Oh, it's okay," because they kind of bring it all together and they reference like Ahsoka and everything like that. But it's like they have all this stuff going on, and I'm like, what did we just pay a bunch of money for? Like, yeah. Like I understand, like I'm not a director and I don't have the means, and I don't have to jump through the same hoops, but this is bullshit. Like this is absolute bullshit. We follow these like there's a guy I follow on Instagram who makes me look like I don't watch martial arts movies.
Wow.
Like he's that fucking crazy. Like, yeah, and I respect him and I love his opinions and stances on things. He even tore down Joe Rogan. It was actually pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We can jump into that later.
Yes.
But the sequel to the Wu Assassins TV show came on. And he's like, don't waste your fucking time.
Wow.
It was that bad. Because and
I was gonna check that.
Yeah, I was
right. I heard if you want to have it on the background, like whatever. But like Louis Tan, Iko Uwais, and I even like the actor. I like the acting that they did in Wu Assassins. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But they had Juju Chan, who was a kickboxing champion back in Taiwan, I think, or Hong Kong. Yeah. And you have all this talent, and I even know of the director that did it. He's a Jeet Kune Do guy. His name is Dan Risotto.
Oh yeah,
randomly, and like he's great. I've seen his clips. He used to be a Japanese Shudo fighter back in the '90s when there was like no rules, and you said just go, and they fucking went. Oof. It makes the UFC days look kind of nice. Honest.
Oh wow!
And I know he has talent. I know all these people have talent, but it was not executed properly. I can breathe again.
No, it's okay. Tell us how you really feel.
Right.
I will. If you want to jump back into South Africa.
So there's a couple South African films and TV shows that I've been into over the past year. Recently, the show How to Ruin Christmas came out with a season 2. Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
so How to Ruin Christmas, the first one was about a wedding, but the second one was about a funeral.
Oh.
And it is a quite interesting show. I would say that it's to me it's along similar lines as the show Insecure in some ways because like the lead actress she's funny, she's comical, hijinks ensue. She's always getting into some weird stuff and she knows better, but she does what she wants to do anyway. She's like highly self-sabotaging, right. And it's just kind of interesting to see her like work through her stuff and just like her dynamics with her family and everything is interesting. So I definitely like if you're curious about South African films and TV, I would check out that one, How to Ruin Christmas, season 1 and season 2.
Issa Rae always seems to have roles where she's getting out of just I haven't seen Insecure, but like from what you're describing, from when I've seen her in like Lovebirds.
That was good.
That was a great movie. Mm-hmm. So fucking funny. Under Black and Brown combination.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Put some chicory in that coffee, you'll be all good.
Period.
I've been holding on to that joke for like a week.
Nice.
But she's always getting herself out of trouble in some way or another.
Yeah.
You have to watch Insecure. What you waiting for?
I'm waiting for a good reason. Now I got one.
What the show just ended.
I know, so it's a perfect
time. So you can
time.
watch it from start to finish.
Yeah.
No, you have to watch Insecure. You would like it a lot.
If you at least give Vincenzo another shot, I'll consider it.
Okay, I'll give Vincenzo another shot, and you got to watch all 5-6 seasons of
that
Insecure.
Sounds like a totally fair deal.
Let's do it.
Completely.
Let's do it.
Before we do it, we got to talk about Joe Rogan.
Yes. Mr. Rogan.
Do you want to tag out, or do you want to?
In the podcast realm, yes.
So here's the thing: I have been fucking pissed off with Joe Rogan for years. There are things I do really like about him in the way that he's actually a pretty good interviewer. He's actually a pretty good interviewer. He's had tremendous like heavy hitters from Neil deGrasse Tyson to Graham Hancock to a bunch of other people, but he also doesn't realize his gravitas. And I think, Faber, you put it out the best. He doesn't fucking care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He doesn't fucking care. And I can't believe I didn't consider that. I was just being way too nice.
Yeah.
And he's done it for too long where he just is like, it used to be about like, what are you doing? Let's talk about this. This is interesting. Now it's just like, what if we just like killed all the gay people? Like, what if we did that?
Oof.
And I'm like, why?
Like, why?
Why did you even bring that up?
Yeah.
Like, you find like I want there to be freedom of speech, but then there's also a time where it's like intellectual masturbation, where it's just like, why are you like this is just unnecessary. And he was just getting people like Alex Jones and
What's the I already
guy who hates himself because he's gay.
I don't know you're talking.
Milo, yeah.
Milo, yeah. Now this whatever.
Yilonapolis, very strong.
EIO, you know, whatever his last name.
And he's getting these people to have like huge Scott Baio, who I want you to punch in the throat every time I see him.
Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah, I meant to say Ben Shapiro. I said Scott Baio. Yeah, same difference. And and I'm like, why are you like? It's one thing to talk to them. It's another thing to just talk about trans issues and never have a trans person on. Or if you do, it's like one episode, but you're like, I can't speak on the African American experience. I can only see what I see, and talk about that from there. And I'm very careful. At least I try to be very careful how I talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are two dudes talking about trans who are not trans? Why are two dudes talking about this who don't know anything about this? You haven't, and there are some valid like things that I think are worth talking about. Is like, well, how do we deal with sports? And we talked about that a couple months ago, where it was like, what is the point in awards? Honestly, at the end of the day, but then like. I want everyone to have a fair and equal chance. And how much does testosterone change you? How much does your hormones change you? Like, we need to bring in a biologist, have an expert come in.
Exactly.
Instead of just like talking the way you do. I'm shocked that he said the racial slurs, but I'm not surprised he said it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I want to. I would hate how he always divorces himself from responsibility.
Yeah, that's
because it stemmed from his opinion of vaccines and COVID and all that stuff. And then it seemed like everybody's like, no, we can't have you spewing off this idiotic stuff. So after that, people started doing some digging, and they found a whole, and they did that clip where it's just him using the N-word repeatedly.
Talking about black people as apes and stuff.
And
I'm like, fuck.
So that clip came after the other, so that was another N-word.
Oh my God.
So first it was a montage.
Completely separate.
It was a montage of using, and in his defense, those cases, Joe Rogan's one of those type of white guys. It's like, if someone used the N-word in this situation where they were being racist towards another person, well, as I recant the story, I'm going to use the N-word because I can, because I'm just a documenter here at this point. I'm just This is not me saying it, but I get to say it.
They get to scratch that itch finally.
Exactly. Exactly. So in context of that, which it doesn't excuse it, but that's what he was using it. But yeah, then they cut that other clip from one of his early shows where he's talking about going to a movie theater and seeing Planet of the Apes through the like Mark Wahlberg version, I believe he went to go see. He
didn't tell him to say hello to your mother for you in this case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh well, we were in the planet," and I'm like, "Yo, that's in the city with a bunch of black."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yo,
it's like you can't."
And
you can't say that.
And then he
and it's like, okay,
if
you can say it, like stand on it, like be like, yeah, I said some little problematic stuff. I said what I said.
He tried
like
to give
it's the white man moderate kind of. Oh, I'm just treading the fence, or I'm just on the fence. That is the shit that pisses me off because people like him, white dudes like him, they get to benefit from everything that's good and evade responsibility from anything that's bad.
It's kind of
and
like
it's harmful. Mm-hmm. It's so harmful, and it's so stupid and frustrating because they're never held accountable. But like I said this on my show too, like at the same time I feel conflicted because I don't think this censorship is a good thing.
No, I don't either.
So it's like taking people offline. Also, I'm just not sure if that's the solution either. I'm just that's the thing.
Scary is too that like he's tame compared to like what's
Don
the Infowars dude? Alex Jones.
Last I heard, he's in jail.
Really?
Or arrested at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's arrested for or something's up with him legally right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if people are doing criminal stuff, like, take them offline.
Sure.
But if they're just like, they made a microaggressive joke, it's like, fuck you, you're racist, but I'm not going to be like,
essentially.
Exactly, own it. Be like, that joke was racist. My bad, y'all. Be like, well,
because if I'm wrong about Italian Club, I will totally say I'm sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about. But even for me, like, here's my thing. Like, I expect white people to be racist at this point.
Yeah.
My issue is about the irresponsible like misreporting and like the irresponsible way that he was talking about COVID and talking about the pandemic with his guests and stuff, and really, really trolling COVID. Like, people are fucking dying from this.
And you're taking horse medication and you're okay.
People are dying from this, and you have a huge platform and people are listening to you.
Exactly. It's like he and Jordan Peterson are just like this. He's the Canadian version of him.
Don't get me started on Jordan Peterson.
Because like we can.
No, just the white splainy.
Yeah.
And the sad part is like he said some like, and even Joe has said some really like, because I know him personally, and I call him Joe, my friend Joseph, and he, they say things that are actually like, pretty inspirational. Like, why don't you be the hero of your own story? Try to, if people are not serving you well, then it's probably, probably not your best interest to be around. But then they go around and they club it with misinformation. Yeah. And it's just like when they're so fucking problematic, like people like Andrew Dice Clay, which like, I didn't mean anything I was saying. I'm like, that is not good enough. Yeah. For better or for worse, we forget that people do look up to people. Like to say that even adults look up to people. Like everybody looks up to someone. It's impossible. Like I have to watch Star Trek every once in a while to just defrag my mind. Yeah. And be like, like things are shitty right now, but I can do this. There's still goodness in humanity. Yeah, there's a lot of evilness in humanity, and I won't deny that. Not at all. I will never deny that. Everyone has the capacity for good and evil, perspectives, upbringings. Those are all factors that play into it. But you can't just blanket statement everything and try, like, you're just being an asshole. You're not changing anything. You're making it worse.
Okay, well, to play devil's advocate.
Oh, fuck that. This is my podcast.
To play devil's advocate, if Joe Rogan...
Oh, no.
If Joe Rogan had 20...
Even Shaadi's mad about this.
If he had only 20 people listening to him spew his nonsense or whatever, will we even really care about it?
If it stayed at 20, no. We wouldn't care about it.
I got you.
The fact that it's big, no, 100%, because it's big, it's a problem.
I would still
it's about
say
the numbers.
He's fucking trash.
Oh yeah, I mean,
middle finger to him.
But I mean, we got several. I mean, there's several people.
But it's like he gets so much
right
money.
Now
he has such
thing.
a large platform. Like we have such a big platform. It's not too much to ask people to be responsible.
No,
and I feel like podcasters do need to follow the same rules of journalism, and that is an unpopular opinion. But I do think that when we're on here talking about current events and talking about the news and things like that, I think we need to utilize terms like allegedly and according to reports
or
and
last I heard or potentially.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, don't be afraid to be wrong. Like,
talking about things as if they're fact and you can't prove that is highly problematic. And sensationalism is already a huge problem in our media.
Big. Like, it's one thing when you're talking with friends and there's no one around and it's just your friends and you know your friends. It's one thing to talk about like that, because if you talk diplomatically all the time, I will go insane. But if I'm with my friends and I copy Steve Harvey once in a while because like, how you doing, player? And it's just
what your ass say?
My buddy Dom listens to this podcast, and if he's listening right now, whenever he gets to this episode, he does a fucking killer Steve Harvey.
Oh, I gotta hear it.
He's just oh, dude, I love Dom. Dom Larkin, thank you, Dom. Even Shaadi likes him, and that's basically what I got going on about that. I just so tired of his bullshit, and I have been for a long time. And it used to be about interest on the show. Now it's turned into freedom ain't free T-shirts and smoking cigars.
Yeah, he's a fucking troll.
Yeah. Almost right-leaning in a sense, definitely.
He's libertarian, right?
Oh, okay.
Whatever the hell that means in his definition. I've known other libertarians. He makes them look bad. So yeah. Anyhow, let's end on a good note because food's here and we're all hungry. What kind of plans do you guys got for the future?
The future is like really difficult to imagine right now.
I hear that.
To be honest, I hear
that. So I'm turning 33 in like 2 weeks.
What?
So
that's right, it's March.
Yeah, I'm turning 33 in 2 weeks, and
it's the end of February. So.
Am looking forward to being 33, and this is like my Jesus year or whatever. So I'm like, what would Jesus do, bitch? Like, do it like I'm trying to do it up. I'm trying to get like mad hoes and stuff.
WWJD. be.
Yeah, like trying to get my groove back and whatnot. Exercising.
You've been crashing the gym, I heard lately.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel good. It feels
good.
Yeah, it feels
That's
great.
a victory in itself. Like,
yeah.
That's a thing in the future that you're doing.
Yeah, we started learning Tai Chi together.
Oh,
so
I'm so glad you brought it up.
I first started learning Tai Chi when I was like 18. But then I kind of dropped off with it because I couldn't afford classes anymore. Blah, 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 and all that. But circle back around, we started with Tai Chi community a couple of weeks ago. And it's hard, but it's great. Like, it's been, I think, a really good practice for me. So I'm looking forward to learning like everything I can learn about Tai Chi.
Sifu,
so
I guess if you will.
Yeah.
That's Chinese Sifu.
Yeah.
Sifu.
He basically explained it. Basically, it's just learning to relax your body.
Yes.
And it's a recalibration.
Right. But learning to relax your body in a way that is helpful to your body, not harmful to your body.
Exactly.
A lot of the ways in which we hold our bodies are actually harmful to it long term.
Posture.
And so relearning how to hold our bodies in a healthy way, it's
hard.
physical work.
It's hard.
Like, and they don't slack off. So if you're not doing the postures right, they make you start again. They make us hold it for a long
horse
time.
Dance.
And like
horse dance.
It's difficult, but it's been really good. So
is it? Do you know if it's Yang style?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what I took.
The 37 posture.
20. I've done the 24 form, 37 postures.
Ours is a 37.
Okay, cool. So it's Yang style. Yang style is a pretty popular version.
Yeah. So
I did that for 2 years. I liked it. The way it was taught was not the way I would typically like to be taught. It was more traditional and taught to karate kids, and I was like, I'm not a karate person.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Okay.
That's just me though. But no, I saw you post about that, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta talk to you about that.
Yeah. So
How are you liking it?
Oh, I love it. It. It makes me want to like advance and get into like the martial arts aspect of it.
Yes.
So,
same.
But I'm gonna have to learn.
Yeah. So we got to get through the 37 posture.
You know who to call. I was doing some googly eyes at you said because I'm like, you know who to call.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. To give us the info because I feel like we'll be ready like by the end of the year to like start.
It's just every time we go, it seems like the light bulb goes off. Like, I see how this applies to like how this potentially apply to fighting and things I'm like, okay.
Tai Chi is one of those arts that unfortunately gets a bad rap of only being used for old people, but it's essentially a yogic form that's in China. And I'm oversimplifying, but there is a combative style of it.
Yeah.
But often just the rehabilitation style is commonly taught, and once you use it, once you learn it more and more, you start implementing it into your kickboxing, because that's the hidden secret, quote unquote, that people don't realize about traditional martial arts. Is like, where does it have a place in today's world? And I'm like, it's how you use it. Not everyone's going to approach you like they do in Enter the Dragon. They're going to approach you more like a boxer would, or kickboxer, or they'll do some grappling. But like, you can intersperse these traditional martial arts within that. The caveat is like the way that traditional martial arts are taught are the same way when they were first created. That's where they lose people.
Exactly.
That's where they lose people. Like Aikido actually is a great art, but unfortunately Steven Seagal, who actually has like a connection to St. Louis. Three Rivers Aikido.
Wow.
It's all crazy people got connections.
So like everybody across the board has said that about them. I'm totally gonna get fucking canceled for that. I don't care. I don't care anymore because I've heard nothing but bad things about that place. From even like another one of my friends listens to this podcast. He's a big martial artist. He's a massage therapist, and he's like, yeah, never go there. And he's like, yeah, because Steven Seagal is connected with them.
Oh my god, that makes sense now.
It does. When I saw that post, I was so glad you both. I didn't know you both were doing it. I thought you were just doing it.
Yeah, we're both doing it.
It was
awesome.
Totally my idea.
Yeah, it was
awesome
for sure.
Awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad because like there's that Qigong is another great one to take.
Yeah,
Qigong,
I'm interested in
Qigong's
that one too.
And then I sent you the kickboxing stuff, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, you might want to send it to me again.
That's fine.
It's buried under all my social media.
I can totally do that. I can definitely do that. Sid, you always seem to have this like quiet lion inside of you.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Quiet.
From what I've seen, at least my interactions.
You've only seen me restrained.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I do a lot to like hold it back, but
I know.
I need some type of outlet.
But there's been moments
it makes you feel great.
Like, oh shit,
because like lifting weights and stuff is just not enough.
It does some, but it doesn't do everything.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good outlet. It's therapeutic, but it's not therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's definitely how I look at martial arts.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to get coordinated. Like I'm not. You have to like the learning about the violence, and you have to be a little violent to like it. But I'm not. But then again, there's like different variances of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not one to step into a ring. Never.
Yeah.
I like my body and my brain too much.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. And so I always say kudai to the people who step into the ring. They have an unbelievable. Anyone who steps into the ring or on the stage, even if they fucking fail, has my respect.
They got
yeah. No matter what.
I'm trying to step into the streets. You know what I mean? Cause
all you need is your garlic sauce
back when
and your naan.
When I used to fight bitches in the club back in the day.
For real?
You know what I mean? Like
you have legit fought bitches in the club.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes you gotta let these women know. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get a lawyer present soon.
Just kidding.
So,
I'm just kidding. Please don't cancel Kunal and Sid because of what I said. I have not had a bar fight or a club fight in about 11 years.
Allegedly.
It was in your younger years.
I have retired. It was yesteryear.
You put the drink up on the table and walked away.
Exactly. Put the drink up on the table and walked away. I'm not slapping any bitches currently, but
well, if you do, I can show you how.
You know,
like legally, so it's all good.
Awesome. I'm ready. Let's get it.
Oh, that's an awesome note to end on. Thank you guys for letting me do this, letting me come in. And Shaadi, you've been dope as hell. And you've been adding the audience effect that I love the whole time.
And Shaadi got bars too.
Shaadi got bars, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh man,
that's right. All right, that's a wrap for us today, guys. Thanks again.
Hey fan peeps, thanks for joining. And as always, we appreciate any feedback. You can follow us on our Facebook page, They Need a Hobby, and also at TNAH Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Hopefully one day we'll find a hobby and maybe even be one of the cool kids. Peace. For me, I'm like, this is, and that's our delivery food.